I'm glad to be here, and I recognize some folks. Okay, is that Pat? I remember you also from the bingo, and um, I've been looking forward to this ever since Deb asked me to do this, and the reason being is I've learned some things over the past couple of months, and I find out I continue to do that. Yeah, I'm a CPA, and I've been a university professor for a long time, but I've been learning a whole bunch more about seniors and about financial planning. And I thought Deb's topic, financial planning, even when you failed at financial planning, there's a there's a resource that is clearly the authority on seniors. And it's called the National Council on Aging, NCOA. Here's some numbers. Over 60% of seniors still have debt. And the average is 31,000. 50% of us have no personal retirement savings. 40% of us rely solely on Social Security for retirement. So here's the way I look at this. If misery loves company, then if something struck a nerve here, some of us are going to feel a whole lot better knowing that clearly we are not the only ones that might have stubbed our toes on being ready for retirement financially. And I kind of wondered, well, why is that? Because everything that I'm seeing says that we, the baby boomers, save less, spend more than historically. I'm pretty well anyone. And here's what I'm wondering. This is just personal. Is I can remember my folks that they went through the Great Depression and they saved everything. And what they wanted to do for me, I know, was to give me a better life. I think they spoiled me. In fact, I know they did. And then you've got all of these parents that I think are doing the same thing. And then they're leaving retirements to us, which we haven't learned how to save money. We've just learned how to spend it. And we're really good at that. And then we get the money from the inheritance, and we manage to blow through that fairly quickly. But if we're in a difficult situation right now, is there hope? And the answer is absolutely yes, because I am excited to share some things with you. So my objective today is this, is I'm going to cover in 30 minutes an overview of some of the potential solutions to making your financial situation stronger. But everything that I'm addressing is covered in detail, including web links. And Deb, did you get a chance to send that out? Okay, I'm just going to assume, and if not, because I can see she's on mute, we'll get that.
So no, I didn't, because I thought if I send this, they may not hop on, but whoever's attending is going to get it.
Okay, so, and I think that maybe that's better, because right now, just know this, if I'm going too fast, don't worry about it. We can cover it in the questions and answers. But really, there's 3 pieces of paper in this report, and Deb will get that out to you. Here's the 3 things I'm going to cover. Number 1 is I'm going to teach you where to discover where there is free money and benefits, which you may already qualify for, and you just don't know it. And secondly, where we can get free and heavily discounted stuff that we're already buying right now, and we're probably paying full retail. And then the third one is this. If we find that we got our backs against the wall, and it was interesting, when I was listening to the discussions here about sometimes we get bored. I got to tell you what, is if I didn't continue to work, Susie and I, our 52 years of marriage would never get to 53, because we are totally opposites on what we want to do during the day. We have the things we do together. We love to do them. We love to travel and all of this. But it says, I need to work. And I'm thinking, wow, this is kind of great, because I'm not only keeping occupied, my mind stimulated, but hey, we're also pulling in some additional money. So right now, I want to start with the mother lode. And here's the mother lode, which is the free money, is both federal and state governments have programs specifically for seniors, and there are hundreds of them. And the sad thing is, according to the NCOA, every single year, $16 billion of money that could have been claimed by seniors was not. And I'm going, wow, if those people were getting a few hundred or a few $1,000s every month more, and they're not getting it, why aren't people claiming this money? And I think the answer in a minute is going to be very apparent. They don't know it exists. And if they did, it's almost overwhelming to figure out how to get it, until I'm going to show you something right now. I stumbled onto this a couple of months ago, and I thought I'd hit the lottery. So I'm going to try to pull this up, and then you can tell me if it doesn't show up. Does that show up? Can you see this screen now about benefits checkup? Okay, so here's what happens. When I'm looking at statistics on the NCOA, I stumble onto this page, and it says, worry less and age better with benefits checkup. Okay, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go try this out. You're going to get this link. It's in the report that Deb's going to send you. And right now, I just happened to load in London, Kentucky zip code. If you can see that down here, I'm going to push a button, okay? And the button I'm going to push is going to take me to this page where it says, oh, there are 11 categories where there's money that we may be eligible for. In fact, somebody is in the seniors. It may not be us individually on everything, but it says there may be money out there. So here's what I'm going to do. I can go pick any one of these and look, but I'm greedy. I want to look at them all. So I'm going to go here and select all. Okay, everything lit up down here. I'm going to push the button that says next. Okay, here's going to be the fun part. If you live in London, Kentucky, look on the upper left, we found how many? 100 benefits and resources in zip code 40741. It says, no wonder people aren't going after it. There's 100 places to look. But here's the fun part. Okay, I'm going to go over here now and click create my report. All right, and here comes the magic. Right now, I'm going to scroll down, and here are the 100 of programs, and they're organized by categories. Now I'm going, oh, I'm going to go look at healthcare and medication. I'm just going to look at that and see there's 16 programs, and here they are. Wow. I've got ones just for Kentucky. I've got several for just Kentucky, and then I've got other ones which are national. And then it says, there's money in each one of these. How do I find out if I qualify? Well, I then go over, let's take a look at Medicaid. It explains what Medicaid is, what it pays. And it says, once you're enrolled, you're in that program. How do I apply? And it says, apply at the local office. Don't get discouraged. Stay with me, because I'm going to tell you how we're going to shortcut all of this. All right, let's just look at another one. Here's Kentucky State Insurance assistance programs. Okay, it says you can get help with Medicare A and B savings long-term, okay? And it said to make an appointment, get counseling, please contact that program. Again, don't get distraught that there's too much to look at. All right, let's go drop down to the next thing. And I'm not going to worry about food and nutrition. I already eat too much and I'm too overweight. I'm going to look at housing and utilities. There's 14 programs there. And here's what I know is there's housing. If you've got repairs and other things that you can't pay for, there are programs where there's money sitting in those where you can access those. Now, I know there's other things out there like cell phones and mobile phone service. Over here in income, there is supplemental Social Security. There's the state programs. And okay, here's one right here. I want you just to look at this right now. Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. I'm going to tell you about that in just a few minutes, but that's going to be important. Okay, now, it says, Jim, I'm overwhelmed. There is way too many things here. Can you shortcut this for me? And the answer is, yeah, we can. Here's what NCOA has done. They recognize that each one of us, as we've aged, we've lost a few brain cells. I know I've lost a lot. Okay, so what they're saying is, well, guess what? We're going to help you. So, you know what? We've got specialists that will answer all your questions. In fact, they're not only going to answer your questions. If you want help applying for this money, they will help you. All right. And so as I go through this particular thing here, I'm going, where are they located? All right. So, well, reach out to your nearest office, what they call benefit screening. Oh, here's one. Where's the nearest one to me? There are 85 of these things. And guess what? I'm looking down here and I found one in Lexington, Kentucky. And I may have gone past it. What's the name of it here?
Go on down a little bit.
Okay, a little further.
I saw Kentucky on down.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, no, that's Owensboro, Kentucky. So there's Lexington, legal aid bluegrass.
The legal aid of the bluegrass. Okay. So, Deb, how far away is Lexington? Is that about an hour and a half drive?
Yeah, I'm on there tomorrow. It's about an hour and 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay. So it says, look, I don't do very well on the phone, taking instructions from people, and I'm not really good at navigating the computer. And so I might have a hard time doing this. It says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get in the car and I'm going to drive down to Lexington. I'm going to make an appointment before I go down there. But I'm going to go down there and I'm going to plan to spend an hour or two with them. And I'm going to tell them everything every question they want me to answer. And I can tell you the questions are going to be, what's your marital status? How old are you? What's your gender? And how much money do you have and do you make? Now, back up where we first started in here, several of those, you can actually, while you're on the site, do it yourself. I put in my age and all the rest of it, and it says, oh, Jim, you've got a good probability for this, or no, there's not a snowball's chance. All right. So here's the conclusion that I've got right now, and that's this. we would be absolutely nuts not to go out and find out of those 100 programs for our zip codes. Mine happens to be 101. And so Indiana and Mississippi, you're going to find, but it's still going to be probably around 100. If there's 16 billion sitting out there, is for some of us on the phone here, there's money there. I am absolutely convinced there's money there for some of us.
I'm gonna speak right here. I saw one of the little tabs and it was called aging in place. And so
Okay.
there's literally thousands of dollars. If you have a parent and you don't want that parent to go to the nursing home, you can agree for that parent to be cared for in your home. It's called aging in place, so that they don't have to go to nursing home and you can be paid for taking care of them. Oh, does that make sense? Shake your head if you know what I'm saying. Okay. So those are that's just one of the program. I know somebody, he was able to keep his mom in his home and his wife was paid over $3,000 a month just to care for her. Okay. So that's just one thing that may be helpful to some of us. Okay. Because that's just part of aging. Okay, Jim.
All right. So I'm just going to wrap up this section by saying this. I really do. I think we're nuts. If we don't go out, and I'm doing the same thing you are, I'm going to go, and mine's up in Logan, Utah, and I'm going to go in there and I'm going to walk out. And here's the worst case scenario. I walk out of there with a peace of mind knowing I didn't leave any money on the table. I'm not missing out on anything. And what kills me is to think there's $16 billion out there, of which some of it was mine, and I was asleep at the wheel. Okay. But I know I'm not asleep at the wheel anymore. I'm going to go find out. And if I find that out, I'm not eligible for any, it's okay. At least I got the peace of mind. All right. Here's another quick bit that I found a year ago. Is every state has unclaimed property, including Kentucky.
Yeah.
And I live out in Utah, and I did not know this. And my nephew calls me and he says, Jim, I'm out looking at the state's site, and Jim, your mom's name's on it. And it's Metropolitan Life Insurance. It says that they owe your mom $7,500. Well, my mom had passed away. Well, guess what? All I had to do was go to the state, prove that I was the son, in fact, the only living child left, but I distributed to my nieces and nephews. Then he says, Jim, look on there. Your name is on there. And it's on there for Prudential Insurance. Well, I got Prudential. You know what? I used to do some work for them. I'll bet they paid me money and I didn't get it. And the issue was, there's another $2,000. There was $9,500 that I got by going out to the state site, putting in my name and pushing the button. And when it came up, I could tell it was me. Okay. I could tell it by, the Metropolitan and all this. So on the report that Deb is sending you, that report has got the link to the Kentucky unclaimed. Go check it out. Okay. Because here's what Kentucky, let me tell you what they told me. 1 out of 7 people have unclaimed property, and the average in Kentucky that's unclaimed, $2,080. Okay. So hope you're better than the average, but if you're only the average, it says, is that worth doing? Absolutely. All right. I'm going to go to the next thing, and I'm going to go fairly quick. There are free products and services for seniors that we're already buying, paying full, but we don't need to. A lot of it is free. A lot of it is heavily discounted. And why? Why do people want to give us stuff free and for discounts? maybe they feel sorry for us, okay? But I don't think so. Here's the deal. There are 70 million of us baby boomers out there. We still control the economy. And even though we blew through some of our money and our parents' money, we still got enough amongst the 70 million of us that if they can get us to buy, that can be their Black Friday. So on the report that Deb's going to give you, there are 2 websites out there. There's even more, but there's 2 that tell you all the stuff that you're buying right now that you can get for free or that you can get at a discount. Here's the next thing. You know that at restaurants, hotels, and everybody, there are senior discounts. Well, I just wondered, is there some place that's kind of like the Bible? I've sent to you on that report, there are 3 websites. Any one of those 3 are extensive. I just printed them out. They're in the jockey box of my car. That if I go into any place, I'd look. I went to Olive Garden the other day and it's, oh, sure enough, here, and it tells me what my discount is. All right. So now we've talked about free money and benefits that are out there. We've talked about saving money because we're getting products for free or we're getting them for heavily discounted. But let's say this. Let's say for a minute, maybe that's not enough. Maybe our backs are against the wall and we need additional income because remember, if 50% of folks are living on Social Security and we're continue to go through the inflation we are right now, things are going to get worse. Maybe we have to go back to work for part-time, for full-time, whatever it may be. As distasteful as that may sound, let me just tell you something that I'm about to do. Is 2 weeks from today, my wife and I are going to Hawaii for a year at the request of our church. And what we're going to do is we're going to go hustle up businesses, employers to hire our members, and there are 30,000 members on Oahu just itself, is we are going to go find work for those people. And I can tell you what, a bunch of them are seniors. Now, can I tell you what's ideal for seniors? Who in the world would want to hire us? I can tell you this. Maybe we're slower than the young folks. Maybe we don't understand the technology of the young folks, but you know what we do? We talk to other seniors really well. We speak the same language. And guess what? We've got the same culture. We know how to work. We know how to show up on time. And here's most importantly, we talk to each other really well. COVID was a blessing in some instances. It was hard on us as the seniors, but let me tell you what happened. COVID forced companies like the old one where Jake and I used to work. We had 8 customer service centers, call centers around the country. We closed them all. And what happened is it forced everybody to go work from home. That was a blessing for single moms, for seniors. Is it out there right now when we get to Hawaii? One of the first things I'm going to do is to show the people all of the customer service jobs working with other seniors, where what you do is take inbound calls, answer questions, you relate to these people, all in the same boat together, and they actually pay very well. And you can do it from the comfort of your home. All right. So now here's the last thing. Deb said before you came on the line, Jim, let's talk about a follow-up. Is what I'm offering up is this. Phones still work and Zoom works in Hawaii. Is Deb, I'm volunteering to do that because previously, the reason my church wanted us to do this is I was able to place nearly 1,000 of them in in jobs with other companies. So, all right. Well, I'm hoping this will be helpful. I'm believing what the report is she's going to send you. Use those links, okay? And they'll take it. But for goodness sakes, go to Lexington or call on the phone and go find out how much of that money might be yours. So, Deb, do you want to open it up for Q&A?
So I do. So if you have questions for Jim, you can unmute. And one thing I want to say before we start, I know that when you start making phone calls and working with these organizations that have all this money, I know that it can be overwhelming because I've done some of this with you. But at the same time, I also know that many people struggle every month to have grocery money, to get their medicine, to, they would love to take a trip, but they can't because they've got to buy medicine and they've got to eat. So I got communities, we're willing to kind of help you with some of this, but it's super easy if you will just take time and begin to investigate that particular one website, okay? And then I think you'll also find when you do that, you're going to find that there are people that you can talk to that you don't have to leave and go talk to. And I'll try to get some of that contact information for those. But here in Laurel County, we have the Center for the Aging. And when I talk with them all the time, they'll say there's tons of stuff if people would just come in and apply. And you can go in and say, I don't need, here's what you can do. You can go in and you can say, I don't even know what I want to apply for. All I know is I'm a senior and I want everything that's available for me. And honestly, they sit down and start they get your information and they start trying to see which program, where you need help and how all that works. So our goal is just that, that you are well taken care of and that, when they talk on TV about, are you getting all the benefits you deserve? Well, if you've got $10,000 in unclaimed property that was your family's that you don't have a clue about, wouldn't it be sad? It's kind of like having a lottery ticket and never being able to use that. Wouldn't it be sad if you let that go? So, I'd love to help every member find out for sure, is that you? But anyway, do you have questions that you want to ask?
I have one about unclaimed property.
Okay.
Do you look in the state where you're living, or do you look in each state where you have lived?
Okay, there is one out there that covers them all together. And here's what I'll have to find it. It's called moneysomething.org. I'll find that, Deb, and I'll get that back to you. But you can go to every state. Just go Google the state. And then when you're in the state, do a search for unclaimed property. Let me tell you the types of things that are in there. Paychecks that never got to you. Is it refunds from stores that they couldn't find you? And there are millions and millions of dollars out there that when a company can't find the person because they've moved, a change of address, is they have to hold it in there. They can't give it away. And so you go out there, and I typed in the name James E. I put my initial, Solomon. Okay, now there's a bunch of James E. Solomons out there, even in Utah. But the ones that were mine, I recognize them right now. I'd go to Kentucky first, or Indiana, or Mississippi. But then in the meanwhile, I'll find it, Deb, and get it back to you. There's one that cross-links all of them.
Yeah, and let me
Thank you.
tell you, Pat, one thing that many of you, if you've ever moved much, one thing you're going to find in a lot of those are deposits you paid for utility companies. Those all go to unclaimed properties. If you didn't get that back, it all goes to unclaimed properties. If you had an insurance plan that was a short-term insurance plan with one of your employment jobs, if you have many jobs, then you may have that insurance money that's still out there and available to you. So those are some that I personally have been able to take advantage of.
I have a
Barbara.
question.
Okay, Barbara.
If you were interested in doing a part-time job, like with call centers or information like what you've been talking about, how does that affect like your Social Security or your disability or the income that you have now?
Right. Yeah. So what you've got to do is know what you're going to lose if you make too much. But I can tell you there's probably enough space in there for almost all of us to go out and make enough to make us feel much better. Then we look at it and say this, and I had to. Okay, so when I retired and I had Social Security, is I could say, well, okay, I'm not going to work this much because I'm going to lose this much money. But the amount of money that I was going to make was so dramatically more money. It says, I'll take the hit on Social Security because I can make this much more than what I'm going to lose. So you're just going to have to look at your situation and how much you think you can make, then figure out, okay, maybe I only want to work part-time. And I know a lot of people do. So here's what happens is the companies are out there doing the work from home. There's a big demand for this. So you're in a good position right now saying, look, I'm only good for part-time, but this is when I can do it, because they're looking for people that are filler. They're trying to fill everything that they can. And if they can get a full-time, they'll take it, but they'll take part-time. Absolutely.
Each of us can make so much money, no matter what you draw in. There is a limit to what you can make. And so sometimes we're afraid to make any because we're afraid we'll lose what we have, especially if you are being able to collect Medicaid or certain things like that, you know. So, but here's what I'm going to say from a counseling standpoint, okay? That I've had many clients come to me and say, I need to come to a counselor because I'm applying for disability, okay? And I have to have therapy and I have to visit a psychiatrist one time. And it looks good in the moment, a lot of times, to accept that. But then what I see, they're coming back to counseling because now they have just enough money to keep them really poor. They gave up and now they have just enough to keep them really poor, which causes severe depression because now they still want to work. Well, they feel like they have to work for cash under the table so they can still keep the disability. That causes depression. And then they're frustrated because they can't have what other people have. So sometimes you have to reevaluate your priority in life, what's your health, your priority, and all of that. So, but I'm with Jim. There are so many wonderful jobs where you could work for a company and you could literally say, I can work from 2 to 6 or 2 to 8 every day or 3 days a week. And you would be surprised how you could find a place where you could just earn a little extra income that would make all the difference in the world in what you have to buy with it and how it makes you feel, because working many times makes you feel very useful and very needed. And that's important as you age. And we know that for sure. So if you're thinking about it and you want me to sit with you as, from that counseling part and just kind of talk through it with you, I'll certainly be glad to do that. Okay, any other questions?
Maybe,
Yeah, but
Okay, go ahead, Janet.
how will you be sending the links? How will you be in email or what?
Email. I'll be sending those
Okay.
email. Mhm.
Okay, thank
I'll be
you.
doing that this evening, by the way.
Oh,
to
okay.
everybody who's been on.
Thank-
Were there other questions?
Oh, are you sending everybody something, Debbie? I had a phone call from church, and so I had to go on mute.
Yeah,
Are you sending us a?
I will be sending out something tonight on these links that Jim has.
Okay, all right,
all
okay,
organized.
that's great.
One other thing I want to ask you too, regarding financial planning and, where you want to go from here. Are there particular topics that you want Jim to address? As far as how you start out saving for something. Jim and I talked about this morning. We've got a little lady that, and this sounds little, but it's big. She wants a storm door. Well, to get the storm door she wants from Lowe's and have it installed, it's $750. She don't have $750. And she wants to figure out with what she's got, how do you get there? How can you get there? What are some things you can do? So my question to you is, do you have questions you would like for him to speak on regarding financial planning?
This is Doug. I would love to see, this may be a little more advanced or something, but investing, I dabble in that, and I'm not very confident in my abilities in that, but I wouldn't mind seeing that. Just to speak on unclaimed property for just a moment, want to make sure, I'm sure the links that you have will be to estate sites and things, but there's a lot of links out there for unclaimed property, and people will try to charge you, and there should be no charge. Don't
good point.
charge you.
Yeah, in fact, I saw that last night out there. It says beware. In fact, it was the state of Kentucky was warning people, do not pay somebody to do this. They happen to know about this and you don't, so they think they can charge you for it. Do not pay anybody. It's free.
Yes.
And Deb, I've done that a lot. I've found I've got time. That's what I've got, a lot of time. I've found a lot of my friends and names and stuff and sent them that information, and I can help people look up, if I got their information or something, name and address or whatever. I can help search that kind of stuff and find it for them. But so I can help with that. I've actually claimed some property on that. It's small, but we did do it successfully. So I've done some of that too. So any help I can, I'd be happy to help.
That,
And then-
I'll tell you, you volunteered twice today. That's what kind of members we love having. That's awesome. So, yeah, we'll gladly use you for a resource if we have people who struggle with technology and need some help with that.
Okay.
JC?
Since I'm one of the youngest ones probably on here, I'd like to know, how can I get ready for the future, even though at my age now? What can I do now? So
Okay, so you are 50.
6 and almost 57.
Okay, and you haven't planned for retirement in the future, and you're wanting to know basics on where to start.
Yep.
So Jim, that's another topic.
And I'm,
Okay.
and I've only worked part-time for the last 30 years,
Yeah, and right now, and the other question about, here's something I'm not really good at. And I'll tell you this, I've always been really good at making money, but I've been much better at losing it after I've earned it. So I'm not the best one to tell you where to place it. I can tell you where not. to place it. But if you've got money coming in, you say, what can I do for it? Is it right now, unless it's a sizable amount, it's probably only going to be in money market type stuff, which is really right now, very low. If you had, for example, though, right now, and I don't know if you like $10,000, $20,000, okay, that still right now, but I don't know, I hate to even do this. I tell you where to put it, then we might lose it, but
It
let
don't
me come
matter. I don't have it anyway.
yeah, so let me come back and address that when I do. And next time I promise this, I'm gonna do it with the background down in Hawaii that you're just gonna die for. So, and I would love to do it, the one on jobs, and I'll go do the research on where to place some things too, but
You need
I-
volunteers for your
I-
help out there in Hawaii?
pardon?
You need any volunteers to help you out there in Hawaii?
You know what we did though? We knew, once you go to Hawaii, it's kind of like when we lived in California. Once you go to Hawaii, you find every relative that you never knew that you had before. So
Exactly.
what we did is we're going to be going 4 islands. We start on Oahu, Big Island, Kauai, and Maui. Is we just doing Airbnbs, and we just take an extra bedroom because we know somebody's going to show up and say, can we stay? And we're not going to turn them away. So if you guys come knocking on the door, I'm not going to turn you away. So,
Hey, Tim,
Yeah.
how old are you?
73.
73. So here's what I want to say to everybody on here. He's 73. I was just talking with Pat Myers, and Pat, you are 60,
69 and a half, headed the
69
other
and a half,
direction.
and substitute teaching. And I will soon be 67, and you are not too old. You are not too old to continue to work in some facet and have a wonderful rest of your life.
Absolutely.
You just have to be willing to take the plunge sometimes and just go into it. And if you have been aging in place at home, maybe you just need a little courage to step out and try something a little bit different, only to find out it's the best move you've ever made in your life.
Hey,
Now,
Deb,
I'll give you sorry, go ahead, Jim.
I'm just going to say this. Deb, you triggered that I had that WIOA, okay, in your state. Right now, every state's got WIOA money. It's federally money administered by the state. If you need a new trade, your schooling is paid for by WIOA. So you would just go to, and you may call it workforce services in your state. But if you want and you need training in a particular thing, don't pay for it. If you need additional schooling, it's free.
And is that on your paper?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I retired and then at around age 60, I decided I need to go to work. I went back as a pharmacy tech. And I worked for 3 years as a pharmacy tech until they had too many at the Walmart I was at. And instead of the last one hired was not the first one fired, they got rid of me because I was, and I'll say it, I truly believe it's because I was the oldest, because the others were like under 30, everybody else.
Don't you wish you could prove that?
Yeah. Right, I was just gonna say, but proving that's
You wouldn't
another
have to
thing.
worry about nothing if you could.
I know, but I enjoyed doing that. It kept my mind. I had to learn new things. Yes, it probably took me 6 weeks to learn something that somebody else learned in a week, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I asked questions. Some of them didn't like that, but you know what? It's okay. Because it kept me and my mind going.
Well, it's 6:46. We've got time for one more question. If somebody else has a question or something else you would like to learn about.
I would,
Janice Bell.
Can you get too old to get any of this? Like 85?
No, no, no,
No.
no, 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 no. Absolutely,
Probably,
absolutely
in
go
fact, the
for
older
it.
you get, the more you can get, actually.
I know you can't get life insurance anymore.
No, well, yeah, getting life insurance as we age gets a little tougher, but
That's why they developed GoFund, tell her. That's.
GoFundMe.
okay. Jim, thank you for being on, and
Thanks for letting me come do it.
Jim, and we will decide the next time we're going to be on,
Okay.
and we will come back with some other things. Also, Doug, I have lots of friends who do lots of things with investing, and that's their love. So I will talk to some of them and see if they might want to get on with us and talk a little bit about investing.
That'd be
great.
Okay. Anybody else before we leave?
Just thank you, Jim. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank you.
I'm
I like
honored to
to
see
hear
this.
when he's reading those bingo cards off, because, oh, yeah, that's what I like.
All right.
Thank you for your
Okay.
time and your information. I appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Guys.
Good to see you.
Thank
And
you.
we will see you tomorrow. And until tomorrow, just keep living. See ya.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye, good night.
Okay, I just have a question. Who is 606, 3055, whatever? Hello?